Pike County was the first. There were some awesome people and families that were well known in the community, and that's maybe what it takes, somebody that you respect this person and their ideas and their suggestions, and they got out and they, yes, I'm proud that Pike County is where they started it.
We had a committee that, and they were just family members that all had special need individuals. And they themselves made up a flyer, and they went door to door throughout the entire county. And they had meetings, and there really wasn't any politics, not political individual that supported that at that time, but it was family members who really wanted services for their family member. And as a miracle happened, it passed the very first time on the ballot. And then they were just pretty surprised. Even the county officials were surprised. Nothing ever passed the first time, so it was a great event.
About everybody at that time was starting a program that the organization was beginning from scratch. There was nothing. And so they didn't have the benefit of prior procedures and policies and protocols and acceptance of the community. And some people very strongly did not want people with developmental disabilities living in their backyard. We would even be asked, where are you going to get these people with disabilities that you're going to put in our neighborhoods? And we would say, well, from your neighborhoods.
I was involved in helping getting it passed in St. Louis County, and also helped in the passage in the city. And we knew that was going to be a real change in what was going to happen. We realized that the money that was going to generate was local money administered by local folks. We were going to be able to deal with that differently than what we dealt with trying to get funds from the state. It was really a sea change at that point.
When I first started, I had an empty office, and they handed me the MAC manual and said, here you go. And so I knew right off the bat that I was going to need assistance from other people in the area. And all of these people at the table helped me a great deal, Jim Casey and many other people, to put the pieces together. We partnered with many, many meetings, I think Ron and all the people in our area, to try to formulate what the plan was going to be. So they were very supportive in helping new people coming into that.
I was intimidated about the idea that they gave me a bank account and said create these programs. And yet then you found that there were other people in the same dilemma, and moreover, by helping each other out, we were all going to be able to do it. We were going to be able to do this. And so we began to think, well, now wait just a second here. This looks like there's a whole movement to the counties. We began to think in terms of saying, let's just change this system. We first met as a group in the fall of 1979, and we met at the Howard Johnsons, sat in the corner booth because there was room enough for all of us, and we found that we had a common set of concerns. The Department of Mental Health appeared to be inconsistently administered through its regional offices.
In those days, it was group homes and dealing with licensure and how to survive an inspection, and it was helpful to have those other folks around who had some good ideas or found something, this didn't work, let's try something else.
One of the characteristics that became a norm in MACDDS is that they're very strong personalities, very capable people with critical reasoning skills and different experiences, different backgrounds, and they would present differing viewpoints, and you weren't finding anyone going to sleep at the MACDDS meetings because it was way too lively and way too thought-provoking and emotionally evocative because these people were passionate about what they were doing.
It's like the way a graduate seminar should be.
Yeah.
People really knew things.
Exactly.
Different viewpoints, and you have this really open discussion.
The neat thing about those experiences was that after all of that discussion, debate, as lively as it was, we'd all go out for dinner and have a great time, together. And it was just the thing to do, and we look forward to that part. And a lot of stuff was done over a couple of beers in the evening. Those were neat times.
And I think even for small counties, I think that was the openness of MAC, that you did not feel intimidated to call anyone and just ask, okay, you didn't feel like you were the stupid person. You just had a legitimate question that you needed a legitimate answer for. And they were very grateful and very gracious about helping you out.
Carl Morris was a guy who should be brought up. Concerned Carl was his nickname, and he was the second county board, I believe, to pass the tax in Clay County. And Concerned Carl, he was the director of Concerned Care, and he was a tremendous mentor. And Wes Irwin used to work for Carl, and he was hired away to start the county board in St. Charles. Randy Kindred, one of the founding members, was hired away from Carl's shop to start the Jasper County workshop. There was a guy named Paul Wilson who was hired to start the Jeff City program. There are more that I'm missing.
I would just like to say with Roger, he never met an enemy. He was as professional as any person I've ever met in my life, and as open and as helpful as that. And you could be the smallest county or the largest county, and you could call him at any time, and he was tremendous with that. So he was a great asset.
He was, and he also was a tremendous communicator. A good example is the push for accreditation. Roger, I never will forget, Roger was testifying before a Senate committee, and one of the senators asked him why he needed it. And he looked at the senator and he said, "Senator, would you send your daughter to a university to get a degree that wasn't accredited? Would you have your wife have surgery at a hospital that wasn't accredited?" Well, you see, folks with disabilities that need services want to have nationally accredited services too. Passed.
MACDDS was the vehicle in which we as county boards were able to facilitate change in legislation and the interpretation of the legislation. There was a lot of work on the part of the folks that were close to Jeff City, because they were coming in and walking the halls, and educating the legislators. And the advantage we had at that time, I think, was that there weren't any term limits. So once you educated a legislator and he understood or she understood, that stayed with them. Now, the challenge is you got to keep educating all the new folks that come in, and that's difficult. That's a real challenge.
I think taking over or taking on case management, providing case management, has been a success for the counties as well as for the people. I was a case manager working for the state before I moved up to my position when I was the director in Pike County, but and it wasn't that the case managers weren't good, but having somebody in your own county that maybe knew the family or knew the services and knew what was there was more beneficial to our clients than having somebody who lived quite a ways away.
The Partnership for Hope came to be known. It started out as the prevention waiver. In Missouri, it was waiting lists everywhere because they had adopted a misguided, uninformed policy of we're only going to respond to crises only. The counties had been doing these family support programs, and they knew that crises were better prevented than reacted to.
There were some things that you could do really well for not a whole lot of money, and we could get some help from the federal folks with their dollars, and it would be some transportation to where they wanted to go, or some personal assistance or whatever it might be, a very flexible program that builds on all the things of that local knowledge and the local services that give people what they need.
I think it's one of the County Boards Association's greatest accomplishments.